Bleach's second cour is currently airing and we have not talked about it since it started. It's best to talk about the craziness now before it gets even more crazy here on out. So here is your spoiler warning to watch up to episode 4 for the second season. If you choose not to do it, then don't say you got spoiled. And finally, if you like this anime content like Bleach, please subscribe to the channel. Now without further ado, let's talk about the second cour. Now then, to give you some general backstory if you don't know what's going on, we are currently in the 1000-Year Blood War arc with the war between the Quincy's and the Soul Reapers. Currently airing is the second cour called Separation for this final arc. Since we are on part 2, we're currently waiting for 2 more after this. But since this final arc is so big, 4 cours seems a little tight.
What?
Nonetheless, there are 2 big things that we should be expecting from this season. The first being to have the lower ranked Stern Ritters killed off. Characters like BG9 and Kangdu barely have screen time as is. And since every Stern Ritter is captain level and above anyways, each one of them can have their own fight. It is unfortunate as a manga reader to know certain Stern Ritters are more important than others, but hopefully as an anime fan you won't pick up on these cues. There are certain characters such as Askin who chooses not to fight just because it's not the right time. So he'll go crazy in part 3. I guess part 2 is just not for him. The second big thing is to learn the truth behind Ichigo's training. After the ending song plays, we get an extended period to see what Ichigo is doing. And during this time, we have a lot of cutscenes talking about the Soul King, the original sin, and stuff like that. Now, I don't want to talk about that too much, especially because some of it is brand new. And without it being completely fleshed out, it's kind of just a theory. But in future cours, I'm sure we'll have a lot more information about it and we'll cover it then. So the big question is, how is cour 2 doing thus far? To put it bluntly, season 2 has been better than season 1. Within season 1, we mainly get introductions for some of the Quincy's, as well as the big cozy feeling that Bleach is finally back after a full decade. But now with the second cour, we're finally getting the heat that we needed. To talk about the Quincy's first, we're finally getting the introduction to some of the key pieces of the war. Characters such as the Bambis, Bazz-B, Grimmy, and others will get their time to shine. The interesting part is some of these Quincy's are for sure better than others. For example, Kangdu and BG9 are kinda trash. However, to counteract them being kind of worthless, they have them fight the weakest captains to start. Hitsugaya and Soifone are for sure not the strongest captains in a Gotei 13. But to make sure the Quincy's still look like a threat, they toss these 2 against some of the weaker villains. Now before you Soifone lovers start typing in the comments, you cannot possibly tell me that Soifone is even top 5 right now. And of course there is a future for these characters to grow, especially within the arc itself. But currently, right now, they're fodder. But that is true for some of the Quincy's they're showing off kind of early. And for the Quincy's that are supposed to be the big guns, they've either not fought yet or they haven't shown up, period. You can think of this as an early appetizer because after the 5th episode, it's about to get much deeper. Jumping back to the second point about Ichigo's training, Ichibei recently said that Ichigo's just not that guy. At least not right now. Ichigo's not strong enough to beat Yawatch or Yuhabak, however you want to say his name. So of course, following the usual anime protagonist way, you have to go through a training arc. Now the interesting part is this training arc isn't more about strength compared to knowledge. Most of the information during the ending scenes was not a part of the original manga. So all the flashbacks we're seeing is about the original sin and the Soul King. Both of these 2 aspects have been touched on before during Bleach, however it's very rare that we learned anything about it. But again, don't worry because we'll dive into this information a lot more in the near future. That being said, we needed to get this video out before it hits the fan. If you haven't noticed thus far, some of the bigger captains have not been present during this arc. Shunsui, Captain Zaraki without his Shikai or Bankai, Byakuya got returned. Captains like these aren't currently fighting because they're more of a key part to the series. Well, at least fights that will happen in the near future. And of course, on the Quincy side, there's a lot more that we have not even seen, such as the Scushaf, these guys. But let me know in the comments down below what has been your favorite part of this cour thus far. I'll do a full extended video once the season ends, so hit the bell on the channel to stay notified. Now then, we have another big video coming pretty soon, so I'll see you guys during then. Have a good one. Peace.